Father Wisdom was sitting, waiting at the funnel. He was waiting to see if anything was to come his way. He'd been waiting over 1,000,000 years at this funnel. Every day he'd go, every day he'd wait. Nothing would come. He would see objects would fly past him, go one way, and then a bit time later would fly back the other way. But nothing would come out of the funnel. Both ends were sealed, and nothing was coming through. But this time, it was different. There was a blue planet. It was bigger than anything ever Father Wisdom ever seen before, and he was taken by surprise. Father Wisdom was so excited he didn't know what to do. He knew this is what he was waiting for. He knew that something was happening. He just did not know what. He just did not know where this blue planet go. He called it the planet because it was the biggest round thing he'd ever seen. Everything was smaller. Everything was very, very small compared to this. This was massive. He'd never seen anything like this come through the funnel. He was so excited. He was sitting on the wall, Karamori. Karamori is a village with Karamoris in it. And Karamoris are people that look like Skittles. I don't know if you know what a Skittle is, but you roll a ball and they all fall down. And all the Karamoris do is listen to music and hop along like that. They bounce up and down. They don't do nothing else. They have a king, and the king's called Caribou. Caribou's the king, and Father Wisdom's one of the students. He's one of the thinkers. He's one of the one that's been out of Karamori, and no one else has been out of Karamori but Baby Lee. And Baby Lee, Karamori found at the funnel. Baby Lee was in a spaceship. Yeah, that's right. And she'd come the opposite way from the blue planet. So she'd come from the end of time, whereas the blue planet would come from the beginning of time. Anyway, the blue planet passed him by, and he watched it, and he watched it, and it disappeared at the end of the funnel. This is the first time anything broke through the funnel. So he knew it was something special, and he knew he had to find out what it was. So he had to go, sort everything out, and let the king know. He was so excited that he had to go through the kingdom to go and fight the king. It just happens on that day that there was a celebration of statues. Peekaboo the artist has made a statue, or she's made 3 or 4 statues, and she was putting them on display on what they call the town square. That's right, they have a big platform where you can display your sculptures and show your works. And that's what Peekaboo's day was, to show her works. And the king was there, and all the Karamoris were sitting there dancing. And Father Wisdom passed him by. Because Father Wisdom wanted to go up to his big mansion, his big place, and talk to his family first. That's right. And make a plan of what comes next. Now, Father Wisdom is the keeper of the Book of Time. But the Book of Time, I want to show you now, because I've got a copy of the Book of Time here with me. I just happen to have a copy. This is the Book of Time here. The Father Wisdom had to start off with a book like this. And inside Book of Time was nothing. It was totally empty. And Father Wisdom has to put the knowledge in the Book of Time so we can have a history. And Father Wisdom knew this. And this is what he was looking at now is, how do I have a Book of Time? How do I get what I'm here? He was so excited that he could now start to do what he was born for and what he thought was right. And he had to get help. So his first line of call was one of his family, that's right. And it would be one of his sons. Yeah. Now he had a son, which is known to us as Santa Claus. He had a brother, which is also a Santa Claus. But the brother was a red Santa Claus. And his son was named after the red Santa Claus, and he named him the Green Santa. Now he was an inventor. He would invent things. And that's why Father Wisdom had to get to him quick. because he knew he was the right man for the job. He was the man that can go and get wisdom, knowledge, and bring it back to him to put in a book of time. And he can get started for why he was there. So he had to go back to his place, sort all his stuff out, find his book so he can get started on it, and then go and find his son. That's right, the Green Santa. The Green Santa's name was Robin. Just to let you know that the Green Santa had a name called Robin. Anyway, he hunted and could he find Robin? No, he couldn't find Robin. So he had to go back to the village and see if Robin was in the square. He couldn't see Robin in the square. He seen Peekadoo, who was one of his friends and one of his helpers, and he asked Peekadoo if you seen him. No. He went to King Kaboo and he said to King Kaboo, guess what? Guess what? And King Kaboo went, what's happening, Father Wisdom? Because Father Wisdom was called Father Wisdom because he was knowledgeable and he was a good storyteller. And that's where he got his name, Father Wisdom, because everything came out his mouth when he was talking was words of wisdom. Yeah. And Kickaboo was kind of excited as well. Oh, yes, I can teach my people now. Father Wisdom, you have to gather this information and bring it back to us so that I can teach the Karamoris. We can teach the Karamoris so that they don't have to sit and bubble, bubble, dance all the time. Now they can get intelligence. Now they can learn. And now I know why I'm the king. And now I know where I want my people to go. So this happened. Father Wisdom made his way to go and find Robin, the Green Santa, because he knew that Robin was the ideal person to collect the information. He knew Robin was an inventor. He knew Robin can invent things that will help him gather information. Robin had been working on this all his life because Father Wisdom knew that every one of his children had special powers. And they had different powers. And it was all different reasons. So Father Wisdom's family was strange because they could walk and they could talk, whereas the Karamoris could only sit and shuffle. So I don't think Father Wisdom was a real Karamori, but he'd never known anybody else. I think what happened is he might have been brought up with Karamoris. Now I know Baby Lee was in the future because she'd come back in a spaceship. They called it a pod. That's what they called it. They called it a space pod. And it was a one-person pod. But when Father Wisdom found her at Flunnel, she was near death. She could hardly breathe and hardly talk. And she couldn't remember where she came from. But what she did do is she wrote a song, wherever she'd come from, and she wrote that tape with her, and it was called Terror-Stricken City. And she sung that song. In the world today, there are children crying and people dying endlessly. And that's the way the song went. So Father Wisdom kind of took upon befriending her and helping her and making her better. And somehow they fell in love. Two different creatures. But they had special babies and they had special family bonding. And Father Wisdom's outer family, his brother, his aunties, his uncles, they were all Kalamoris because they had the ones that adopted him and brought him up. So let's work our way through the rest of the story. And I will see you in part 3, which is chapter 3. It's going to be called chapters. And there's 1 to 10 parts that kind of tell you my life story and help you get where I'm coming from. So I will see you in the next one. And we will be talking about Robin, the Green Santa,